Hello, everyone. I'm Beth Berry. I'm the Vice President of Business Development for Real Green Systems. Real Green is based in Walled Lake, Michigan. I am broadcasting live from my home office in Indianapolis, Indiana today. This is part of our Impact series. You will find at www.realgreen.com/impact. We have a variety of speakers and content that we think will help you navigate the COVID-19 crisis and tools to keep your business up and running. Today, my guest is Kim Hodous. Kim is the happiness speaker, and I thought we could use a little happiness. Kim is a longtime friend of mine and published author. Her book that I have is Show Up, Be Bold, and Play Big. This sits on my, as you know, Kim, my coffee table. And you've got other good stuff in the works, and you're always inspirational. I tried to get out all of my happiness books today. So Gretchen Rubin, The Happiness Project. What was the other one I had? Oh, Resisting Happiness, which is a true story about why we sabotaged ourselves. I have like 4 other happiness books, but they are in the condo in Michigan near Real Green. So apparently I need more happiness when I'm there, but I was trying to get all of them out. And you've been working on your own happiness project and your own happiness book prior to COVID-19. You're one of those people that can always find a silver lining or an opportunity in just about any disadvantage. And so you were top of mind when I thought, who can we tap into that knows a lot about our industry and improving culture. So Kim is a licensed pesticide operator in the state of Arkansas, just one of the many hats in which she wears, and I won't do it well. So Kim, give us some background on you.
All right, thanks, Beth. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm happy you're all joining me. Started out as a school teacher, and then I took quite a few years off to be a stay-at-home mom. I've got 5 kids. And then when I was ready to go back into the workforce, I decided I wanted to take a little different slant. I started a jewelry business. I grew that business to $1 million company. But along the way, people started asking me, how'd you get so successful? And come talk to us and tell us what you did, because I had no background in business. And as Beth mentioned, I got out my little certificate. I am a licensed Arkansas applicator operator. So I've always been an entrepreneur, and so decided to start a jewelry business, grew that, started to get asked to speak, found out that I really loved that. And so that's primarily been my focus, because I do have that entrepreneurial spirit. When my son came to me after college and said he wanted to start a business, I said, I know the perfect one. So I got involved with him. We're doing it together, and have just loved every aspect of all the things that I have learned in the pest control world.
Very, very cool. And are you working on a new book? Is that correct?
I am. So in the last 4 or 5 years, my focus has really been happiness. It's kind of cool because back in 2002, a gentleman named Martin Seligman started a body of work called positive psychology. Up to that time, psychologists had only studied mental illness. He said, why don't we study happy, healthy, successful people and see what they're doing? So we now have a lot of research that backs up that happiness is something that can be learned. Happiness is important in the workplace, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. So I came across the U.S. General Social Survey, which was started in 1972. And it's kind of like the census, but instead of statistical data, it asks things like our beliefs and our attitudes and our prejudices and our morals, that kind of thing. And there was a question on there about happiness. And so what they found is that women were happier in 1972 than they are today. 50 years later, we've made so many strides. So I've spent the last 2 years with my head down researching why would women have been happier in 1972 than they are today, when they have so much more opportunity. And I've identified 7 areas, and that is the book I'm writing and the course I'm developing that will go along with it on how, how we as women can go back to our happiness, find that higher level of happiness again.
That's so cool. We didn't even have modern appliances or Botox back then, Kim.
Yeah.
Why,
We couldn't even, Becky, we couldn't even get a credit card in our own name until 1974. So,
by all reasonable measures, we should be much, much happier today. It's
we should.
interesting because it almost seems like in the current climate that there's some moral compass that would suggest maybe you shouldn't be happy, or maybe you shouldn't be smiling, or maybe you shouldn't laugh. As you know, Kim, I'm a joker, and it's hard for me not to joke. It's hard for me not to hug people when I see them. So it's interesting just to see how others perceive you. But I am grateful to have the opportunity to be on Facebook Live and engage with our customers in this way. But amidst all that's going on, why does happiness really even matter in the workplace? So, for instance, in the green industry, you're very fortunate in pest control because it is deemed essential in the Homeland Security CISA.gov. The word landscaping is included too, but we've had to fight tooth and nail in almost every state to ensure that we still get to do our jobs. And then in Michigan, we're still not doing it. So a lot of people are happy to A, have jobs, B, be able to do the work right now. But why is happiness important?
Well, again, because we now have the data to back up, there are some real bottom line deliverables when people are happy. I think it's why companies like Google and Zappos and a lot of those companies, Apple, they talk about they've got toys out and nap pods and all this stuff that isn't realistic for a lot of businesses. But I think a lot of that started because we now have some real statistical data that shows when workers are happy, number one, they're more productive. The most exhaustive study could calculate that happy workers are 12% more productive. So if you're in the green industry and you're working, even harder than before COVID-19 came along, the time that you have to work, you're going to really have to make sure you're getting done what you need to get done. Because I know some people are working even longer hours. So it's important that the time that we have for work, we're as effective as we can be. And we got all the data that backs that up. Happy employees are more productive. The other thing about being happy at work is it makes you more creative. When you think about if you're in fear or you're upset, you get your focus becomes very narrow. That's all you can think about. If you're laying in bed at night and you hear a thump, all you can think about is where'd that come from? Am I safe? Instead of like being creative. So when we're happy, it broadens our horizon and we can think outside the box. And I think this is the time, especially where people need to be creative. Business is having to be done in a different way. So it's really critical that we're operating on all cylinders and we can be looking at things from a broader perspective. Happy employees are more engaged. They're more community minded. They do a better job. Do you know companies with happy employees outperform the competition by 20%?
Wow.
I know. Think about how people will try to institute different programs. They love a 2 or 3% return, but companies with happy employees outperform the competition by 20%. For all of us personally, happiness makes us healthier. Again, medical science is going to prove when we are happy, it lowers our blood pressure, it improves our heart function. There are so many physical benefits to being happy and again, if you're healthier, you're going to perform your job better. And one of the things that's so important right now is happy people are just kinder. They're kinder. And I think the world needs kindness right now. There are so many people that are hurting, and as you're going to someone's home to spray for pests or spray their lawn or work on their landscaping, you have no idea what they've been through. I have a friend whose parents have lost 19 friends to COVID. I mean, you have no idea what somebody in the home that you're going to service has been through. And so just yeah, I think, for us women, maybe we say, give everybody a little more grace. You men might say, just cut them some more slack, but I think it's important that we're kind and emotions are contagious. That's why I think our country's kind of in collective fear right now. But when you're happy, that's contagious too. And so when you're lifted, everybody around you gets lifted and everybody benefits. So I think it's especially critical right now when there's so much we cannot control. There's so much we can't control. I'm doing an online class right now. I think Beth is going to give you the link to it. It's totally free. It's a little 5-day class that I created. And it's about helping people find their happy during turbulent times. And the one thing I keep hearing over and over and over again is, I don't know what the future is going to be. Don't know what the new normal is going to look like. Don't know, don't know what's going to change. Don't have control over anything. We don't right now. The one thing we have control over is ourselves, and particularly, where we keep our head. So I think focusing on happiness has lots of benefits for everybody in a company, all the way through employees to CEOs.
I love that. I have been out a little bit. For one thing, even just taking a drive in your car and not getting out of your car does give me a little sense of freedom. So words like isolation and quarantine sound so sterile and medical or prison-like. And so taking a drive has been nice. And then I've gone and picked up groceries curbside a couple of times, some sewing supplies curbside. I had to go in Lowe's to get some mechanical things a couple weeks ago. And to your point, I think, first of all, there's a lot less traffic and there's 30% less accidents, but the drivers are all very polite.
Mhm.
And when you are in a grocery store or hardware store, there's this politeness, I would say. Like the people who used to be bustling through with a cart, you just do see a kinder, more polite world right now, and it would be so nice. I heard Dave Hollis say, in our rush to get back to normal, consider what's worth rushing back to. And there are some positives that are coming out of this. How do you create a positive, happy culture in the midst of COVID-19 if you're speaking to a business owner?
Well, I'm gonna give you a really cool 5-step process. But one of the things that I think is important is also to connect your work to the bigger why. Like, why are you doing this? Why? I mean, you're in your industry. I mean, this is an essential business. People are going to be, I mean, some people are quarantined in their homes. Arkansas is one of 4 states that does not have a stay-at-home order. But people are going to be outside more. They're probably going to have staycations because they can't afford to take a vacation like they might have. And so the work that your people are doing is so important to keep homes safe, to keep critters at bay, to make it so kids and dogs can be outside. And so to really remember that what you're doing isn't just spraying a lawn or spraying a house, it is really creating a safe environment for people who need that right now. People need to at least feel safe in their homes because everything, again, people are going outside. They don't know this is a bug we can't see. We don't know if we've caught it, if somebody has it and they're not showing symptoms yet. But the one place they can feel safe is their home. So connecting what you're doing to how it's really helping people right now.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. And then I love processes. You've known me a long time, Beth, and I think that it's important right now that we make a little extra effort toward happy because there's so much negativity pulling at us. There's so many sad stories. There are also a lot of beautiful stories of people helping people and people rising to the call. I don't know if you guys are doing this in Indianapolis, and some of you that are listening from around the country, if you're howling, are you guys howling at 8 o'clock?
I've never heard of this, but what does howling mean?
Howling, oh, like going out at 8 o'clock and howling like they did in Italy?
This is not happening in Indianapolis that I know of.
You can start the trend, Bethy. Yeah, people go outside all across, at least Fayetteville where I live, at 8 o'clock, and you can just hear it. My neighborhood just lights up, and everybody comes out on their porch. And it started in Italy kind of as a support to all the healthcare workers to let them know we're thinking of them. And so it's just amazing how connected you feel. Just everybody comes outside and we all stand there and howl.
That's great. So it's like a happy hour. You could probably take your glass of wine out. Very interesting. I did not know about
Yeah.
that, but maybe I can start it in Indianapolis.
Yeah, yeah. So I have this 1 minute happiness habit. It's kind of the crux of my work. And it's a really easy way for us to get ourselves pointed towards happy, which I think is exceptionally critical right now in this really stressful, chaotic time. When again, so much outside of us we can't control. We can't control what happens right here. So I'd love to share with you and everybody that 1 minute happiness habit. Would that be okay?
Yes, please.
Okay. So the first step is really simple. It is to engage. It's to really be in the present moment. And when I think of this pandemic, I hope that we'll never live through anything like this again. And we kind of have to remember all of us right now have a front row seat to something extraordinary. We're going to be telling our grandkids and our great grandkids about this, or, if you're younger, your kids. I mean, this is really an extraordinary moment in history. And so to really ground in and anchor. So how I teach people to engage is through the breath. So you can put your hand on your heart or not, but it's just about the breath. They call it the breath of life for a reason. And this is day one of my online class. And I've gotten the biggest response to it of any other day because people say, oh my gosh, it is amazing how much it helps just to stop and breathe. So all you do is get yourself settled, take a deep breath, smile, and then just be here. Be in this moment. Look around. Anchor yourself in. You might want to do it 2 or 3 times, but just be present because it's so easy to get out of our heads and out of our bodies and have everything going everywhere. When we can just anchor right in to right where we are. Right now, you're in Indianapolis instead of where you would normally be in Michigan. There are probably a lot of people that are working outside of their homes instead of the office. So instead of letting that throw you, just be right here, right now.
You know what my 22-year-old has told me, and I would never have noticed that I was doing this, and now I think I can substitute what you just offered instead of this, but just throughout my work day and throughout the house, maybe I'll hang up from a stressful phone call or something, an email, and I'll sigh. And I don't recognize that I'm doing it. And she'll say, Mom, you're sighing again. And it really is kind of an outward expression of defeat or sadness or frustration or whatever it is. But it had really gone unnoticed by me. But I think as it takes the same amount of effort to sigh as it does to do exactly what you just said.
And the breath can move energy in a positive way. A sigh is almost like resignation. But when you take it from the positive, the proactive, and I tell people to smile because our physiology or our psychology follows our physiology. So when we smile, it sets a different tone to that than if you just, So breathe and smile. That's the first step. And then just engage. Just be right where you are. And remember, again, this is an extraordinary time. We're going to want to remember this. So don't just, even if you're working longer, don't just rush through it. Be right here. Be in this moment. The second step is about being positive, which can be tough right now. Gosh, I think the survey I read was 3 or 4 years ago, and they said 85% of what we're exposed to on a daily basis is negative. I would guess right now it's got to be 95, 98%. I mean, you turn on the news and it's all negative. You talk to a friend, it's how's everybody, so that, and again, that negativity narrows our focus. The other thing is that worry, and there are a lot of people who are really worried right now about their health, about their finances, but worry is the number one emotion that suppresses your immune system. So when you get in worry mode, if you can replace that with a positive thought. So I have the happiness habit. It's right here. In fact, I think there's going to be a little download of this you can get if you want. But the second step of that is just to think of something positive. So if you start going into worry and fear and all that, just stop and think of something positive. And one of the reasons that I believe happiness is a choice, and we have some say in it, is because the human brain is exposed to 11 million bits of information a second. I mean, I don't know, there's probably 11 million bits of information on this bright pink wall behind me. You know, everything is shouting out at us. But the human brain can only process 40,000 bits of information a second. So out of that 11 million, we get to decide what 40,000 we're going to focus on. So if we want to be happier, we've got to be sure we're focusing on the positive and the things that lift us up, make us healthier, make us stronger, make us more vital, rather than the things that bring us down.
That's great.
Yeah, so that's number 2. The third step is focus. Focus on it, like figuring out what really matters. I think the most important thing right now, I'm also a coach, and counseling is about looking at the past. Coaching is about looking at the future. And I think it's so critical right now that we keep our focus on the future. This is going to be over. Things are going to look different, but where do I want to be when I'm able to get off of quarantine or things do go back to whatever that new normal is? One of the best ways to do that, I think, is set goals. Setting goals is so simple. And if you've got paper in front of you right now, scratch out 2 things you want to have happen today before the end of the day. When I coach my clients, we have a system we call 2 by 10. They start their morning figuring out 2 things they want to get done by 10 o'clock. A lot of them come back to me and go, Kim, it was a 2 by 4. I'm like, that's all right. Probably wouldn't even have happened if you hadn't taken the time to write them down. There are people that spend more time planning their summer vacation than planning what they really want out of life. So when we can focus and really figure out what are some things that I want to make happen, we all kind of have this strange little interim period we're in when we're trying, to get COVID-19 under control. Don't worry about a year from now, but like what are some things you want to get done the next 2 weeks, the next 30 days? That was kind of how this class I created, Finding Your Happy During Turbulent Times, was created, because I was just spinning. And I thought, what do I want to do? And I'm like, I want to find a way to help people. I'm going to create a class. And that it's been so good. It's really grounded me. And I think when we can set our focus and figure out where we want to go, it can be very grounding.
Very cool.
Yep. So that's the third step. Focus on one action you can take. Not a whole bunch, but just one action. The fourth habit is the one that is so critical right now, and that is connection. Connection. They did a worldwide study of over 7 million people, and they surveyed them. These were the people that had deemed were happiest in their organization, in their culture, in their community. And they rated them on everything: age, gender, wealth, health, occupation, religion, everything. There was only one thing that the majority of all these people had in common. That one thing is that they had close, connected friendships.
Wow.
So, yeah, that was the one common. So right now, one of the classes in my course is quarantine, but don't isolate. Like, you don't have to be disconnected. We can still be connected to people even when we're apart. And I think especially at work, I'm sure every situation is different, but I'm sure some of these employees are going home with their equipment at night and heading back out with it the next morning instead of going into the office. So finding a way that you can all connect as a team. Maybe that's going to be an 8 a.m. huddle or a conference call or a group text or Zoom, depending on what your situation is. But finding a way that you can all be kind of connected to each other. So,
and we've seen that play out throughout several of our companies and customers of Real Green, where they'll do Zoom, or there's an app called House Party. On Friday nights, we have a happy hour, a virtual happy hour on Zoom, where everybody shows up and we play games. But that's very important when you can't go to the water cooler and say, hey, Brian, show me pictures of that new grandbaby.
Right. Yeah. It is so important that we stay connected. And another really good tip is make sure you put some social activities on your calendar. You know, I don't know if I'm proud of it or not, but my life is kind of run in 15-minute increments. You know, my days are so full. Now all of a sudden I look at my calendar, I'm like, nothing. So it is really important if you can make sure you schedule in, make it a priority. We didn't used to have to do that, but during this pandemic, we have to schedule in time to connect with those people that are important with us. So that's the fourth step, deciding who you can connect with.
Love it.
The last one, the fifth one, is the one that I think is the most important, and that is gratitude. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. This kind of dovetails along with looking for the positive, but you know, this time right now for a lot of companies is going to be the time that they grow, the time that they adapt and figure out new ways of being. And the bottom line is we don't grow when we go on vacation, right? You go on vacation, you have fun, you have a good time, but you're not really learning anything. This is the time when people are really going to grow. There's so much to be grateful for, the new things we're going to learn. I call it AFO, another fun opportunity. Finding things that we can be grateful for. And again, taking our focus when we start to go down that rabbit hole of fear and worry to go, wait, there's still some good things that are coming out of this. And I'm hearing beautiful stories from the people in my course who are, you know, saying, oh my gosh, I'm getting so much more time with my kids. My husband's at home all day. He's never, you know, been around this much. You know, I know that can drive you crazy. My husband's kind of been driving me crazy. But you know, there's also the benefit of, you know, getting to spend more time with the people you love. So that is the fifth habit, is to think of 3 things that you're grateful for.
I am very habit driven, and I have a morning routine it's kind of ridiculous how finite and OCD it is, and really important now. It used to be necessary because I was traveling 48 out of 52 weeks and it was the only way I could survive, but I've noticed sticking to those same routines are very, very important. So I can't go to the gym anymore. I have a new Peloton, which is great for that. But even like finding joy in little things such as I love wine, but it's frowned upon to work and drink wine in the middle of the day, Kim. So I have, and I had before, don't tell anyone, but like I have fancy tea and I make tea after, I can only drink espresso till noon and can't start drinking wine at noon. But my fancy teas, today I have blood orange, and I look forward to a fancy flavor every day of tea. And part of my morning routine is I get a quote of the day. And this morning's quote was, it was so odd that I was going to be speaking to you today. Happiness is not an outcome, it is a skill. So basically, happiness is a verb. Happiness is a skill and not an outcome, which means you can learn this.
Yes, yeah. This little habit I taught you, every single one of these 5 habits is completely backed by science. There is so much data out there now. Like you said, you've got 4 books. I have it. I mean, I could pull it over here. I bet you I have 20 books on my shelf about happiness, the science. There's a whole book called Thanks. I don't even know where my books are. That is just on gratitude.
What's it called, Grace?
Thanks. Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm enjoying looking at your wall while you stood up. I'm going to have you decorate. Mine's pretty sparse.
Yeah, I made that picture in kindergarten.
No way.
Yeah, this book is Thanks, which is a whole book just on gratitude. So there's so much out there that really validates that happiness is something we can learn. I love that it is a skill. It's not something you can check off your list like, oh, okay, done that, happy now. It's a series of practices. It's ongoing. And as we all know, especially during this COVID-19, and when you talk about workplace culture, one day everybody's like, okay, we can do this. And then the next day everybody's like, oh, it's never going to be the same. This is so hard. So we've got to keep taking ourselves back to what we know works. And that little 5-step process that can be done in 1 minute is something that we know works.
I love those 5 steps, and they're easy to remember, and they will be on our impact page. I think one of a vendor partner of ours I spoke with last week, we had a 3 o'clock conference call and it's like this, and she's running around, she's a few minutes late and she's apologetic, and you can hear dogs and kids, and we're all way past that. Nobody cares that there's kids and dogs in the background. But she had a fourth grader, a sixth grader, and an eighth grader. She doesn't typically work from home. Her husband's working from home. So now you have two people working at home. They don't have a home office because nobody works from home, as well as three school-age children who are homeschooling that they have to oversee. And I thought, well, I'm pretty lucky. I just have to manage myself and my occasional 22-year-old here. But is there anything additional you would say to a person that's newly immersed in that scenario?
Well, I mean, again, it's that give everybody a little extra grace. And my mom, you knew her, Beth. She's an amazing woman, and she used to always say, beyond a healthy discipline, be gentle with yourself. I think right now we've got to be gentle with ourselves. All you can do is all you can do, and these are stressful times. So again, keep finding ways. Just hearing that story, I can be grateful. All my kids are out of the house. My husband had to leave town. We're not under a stay-at-home order here, and he had to go to our other home and take care of some things. I'm here in this house all by myself. It's quiet, it's lovely. So, again, you can look at that story and go, oh, she's so lucky, or you can go, oh, I'm so lucky. Just finding ways to look at the good. And the thought I really would love to leave people with is that when this is over, the world is going to need your light. The world is going to need all of us to shine brightly, to be kind to each other, to lift each other up and build each other up. Again, I haven't lost anybody to COVID. I don't even personally know anybody with COVID. Talk about gratitude. I know there are people that are just hurting so deeply and having such trauma through all of this. And we're going to have to really be kind to those people, and those of us that can be happy, that can lift that vibration, that can keep us higher. Emotions are contagious. Pursuing happiness is not a selfish pursuit. Our Constitution says life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They put it right up there. Our country will fight for life and for liberty, but we've forgotten how critical our forefathers found happiness. So do what you can to keep yourself pointed towards happiness. That's going to rub off on everybody around you. It's going to rub off on our country as a whole. And we really need that right now.
I love that. I met you at the Rachel Hollis conference. I didn't meet you there, but we got to spend time together in January in Fort Myers. And she has her daily journal. You can go to thehollisco.com. And she talks about her 5 to Thrive, which is water and sleep and exercise and a couple of other things. But it starts out with the 5 things you're grateful for. And I've been working on these journals since last summer. And I'll be honest with you, the gratitude part was a little bit difficult for me. I'm embarrassed to say, and I am a person that has a lot to be grateful for. But it was like, I found myself, if you go back through all my journals, espresso is the #1 thing that I'm happy with.
I've seen you drink espresso in the morning. I know.
I know, but spending time with you, it was just weird that we were both in the same city on the same day and got to do that. So that wasn't obvious, but there are so many things in the last month that I miss. When I go to Michigan, we have lunch, the leadership team, 3 days a week. And on Mondays, we go to one place. And on Tuesdays, we go to Mexican, or business partners of ours that I see at conferences routinely, and that we would grab a drink. There was someone from Briggs and Stratton that I saw in an event in January. When I talked to her last week, I said, I'm so sorry. I went back to the room and worked that afternoon instead of going and having a drink with you that day, because I thought I was going to see her again at another event the next month. But there's little things certainly that we've all taken for granted. And my gratitude journal is, I have a son that's a firefighter. I'm grateful that he's safe every day. But boy, it's the little things that all of these gratitude and happiness people like yourself have been talking about that are so obvious and in my face right now. Once you have those taken away from you, even if it's for a tiny bit, it's a small amount of sacrifice for what we have to do to solve the health issue. I'm not going to take them for granted again.
Yeah, that's so beautiful, and I think that you're far more, normal than the exception. I think for all of us, we just get in our day-to-day routines, and we just expect that, yeah, I'm going to go have Mexican on Tuesday, and yeah, I'm going to see her so I can get some stuff done this afternoon. And I think that's going to be a really beautiful outcome of this whole experience, is that we are going to really, it just feels like everything's a little bit more fragile right now, and we just give everything a little extra. Wow, that was great. The next time you eat Mexican, oh my gosh, can you imagine?
Yeah, it's going to be good. It'll
Yeah,
be good. Kim,
yeah.
how can we contact you? We will have the information up on our impact page, but what's the best way to find out more about the happiness projects you're working on?
You can go to kimhodous.com, KIMHODOUS.com. There's a link there where you can log in and join my 5-day totally free happiness course. Very easy, very simple, not more than 10 minutes a day. A lot of the stuff you heard today will be reiterated there. There's my main thing is as a motivational speaker. And so there's information there about that. I've got a happiness cheat sheet on there that's really fun. It's a great way for you to kind of just tune in with your own happiness and some little tweaks that you can make to get happier. So pretty much anything you need, you can find there.
You are very unique in a number of ways, but you're the only person I know that is a published author, a best-selling author, a national speaker, and also a licensed pest control operator. So you're just the whole ball of wax in my book.
Telling you right here, Kim Hodous.
Right
there. It's fun to wear. You never get bored.
Never get bored. Thank you so much for your time today, and we could all use a little happiness. And I will be looking at those 5 steps. And my mom, I still have this. It came from a Hallmark store, I think, and it said, the happiest people are those that are too busy to recognize whether they're happy or not. Now, I've spent a lifetime of overloading a schedule, and that there's certainly pros and cons to that. But there's also a lot to be said for I'm pretty busy a lot of the time working on what I think is next and exciting.
Yep. That's that. Step number 3, keep your focus on the future and where you're going. It makes a huge difference.
It does. Thanks, Kim, and stay safe. I really appreciate you helping us today.
Yeah, thank you, Beth.